Okay, my next series of questions. They come from the Broski himself, Eric. Um, if you don't know who this is, and by the way, you should, um, at MTL Broski, he is the host and purveyor of First Thing in the Morning on YouTube. Um, does a lot of video games, of course, his Raw reactions. Um, Lots of bearded Canadian rage coming from that show, and he's great to watch. He's fun to talk to. Um, so, and, if you get the chance, watch his stuff, and trust me, you won't regret it. His questions, he gave me some good ones too. What inspired you to start making YouTube videos? Okay. Oh, this is a good one. To be honest, I just wanted to kind of put this out, just talk about wrestling. Now, of course, before I did the Guido Goes Off, I did a show with my friend Mike and the Guido. We tried rebooting it as the Budget Wrestling Podcast. We still want to do that. Unfortunately, time gets in the way, right, and responsibilities as well. As you know, I've been all over the area working, and he's, being a dad, so it's kind of hard to take the time to get together and do shows. But yeah, it's just fun to talk with other fans about wrestling, whether our opinions are the same or are incredibly different. And that's what's been fun, and that's the reason I did this. The reason is to get people talking about wrestling because it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, you guys do too. So that's why we keep doing it. So talk to people about wrestling. And there's a lot of people you can talk to. In fact, some of them we're going to have in the description. So that's why. That is why I started doing the YouTube videos. If you thought it was for money and bitches, I'm sorry. That's that's never going to happen. Look at his face. Okay. What is your pick for best wrestler of 2016? Oh, it has, without a doubt, it has to be AJ Styles because AJ has had a banner year. I mean, the man debuts at the Royal Rumble. He's just pretty much become the biggest thing in the company, just like immediately. He's now a lot of other guys have had great years too. I mean, you think Chris Jericho. The man has gotten a scarf and a piece of paper over. No one else can do that. Kevin Owens, who's making people forget that they hated the Universal Championship belt and just made them hate him. Very good at his job. Let's see. I mean, Dean Ambrose has had a good year. Becky Lynch has had a good year. Kenny Omega, winning the G1 Climax tournament, and he gets a shot at the IWGP heavyweight championship in a few days here at Wrestle Kingdom. A lot of these guys, but I would just say AJ Styles debuting at the Rumble, getting to beat the crap out of John Cena, getting put over by the company's golden boy, and then becoming the world champion at Backlash. I would say easily banner year for him. Okay, one more from the Broski. You get one NXT call-up to bring either to Raw or SmackDown. Who do you pick, and where do they go? Okay, who do I pick? Asuka. And she goes to Raw. Because something needs to be done with that Raw women's division. I mean, it's clear also, really, the women's division in NXT needs a reset. I mean, right now there's there's no one on par with Asuka as far as being women's champion. No one can touch her right now. And now there's been some people saying, "Oh, they're doing it just to erase Paige's record." I think it's simply they've booked themselves to the point where, Asuka's become this huge monster in the division, and you haven't been able you've had this division pillaged by the main roster just to fill spots in the women's division. I mean, think about it. You had 5 NXT call-ups during the draft. 3 of them were women. You had Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, and Carmella, all called up, and these were a lot of your top tier women who could compete with Asuka. So now you've got Ember Moon that you're trying to build. You're trying to build Billie Kay. You're trying to build Peyton Royce. You're trying to build Liv Morgan. You're trying to build Aaliyah. I guess you're trying to do something with the Tough Enough ladies that you brought in. You even had to outsource a challenger in Mickie James, and it's and even she could, it was close, but she couldn't beat Asuka. You have made Asuka an untouchable monster. She's still undefeated. She's been the champ ever since April. Who can touch her right now? Right now, it's probably in their best interests to move Asuka to the main roster, simply to give the NXT Women's Division that restart. And Broski, thank you very much for sending in these questions. Well, I got other people to talk to. Let's move on. Okay, question sent in by Christopher Wick. Follow him at Real Chris Wick. Talked to this guy quite a bit. He does a lot. This guy wears a lot of hats. He does marketing. Does videos of his own on his YouTube channel. Can go to probably find his description on his Twitter handle at Real Chris Wick. He asked me, why is Dixie Carter so untalented yet able to run a national television company? Well, that's a good one. The thing is, Dixie is good at marketing. She's worked as a marketing executive and marketed professional wrestling events. She's been a fan. She knew Jeff Jarrett really well, and that's why they got in bed together for making TNA. The thing is, she's not great at making a pro wrestling show. She's great at marketing things, but she's not great at managing talent in a professional wrestling setting. And this has been clear for quite some time. She doesn't have a great business head, as we've all seen. And so you're wondering why she's still... I think it's a lot of people, especially now you got people like, you've had Billy Corgan getting involved, and gotten people like, and now Anthem. And these people are getting involved, I think, more in spite of Dixie than because of her. It's basically because these people like pro wrestling. They want to give that alternative to WWE, and that's what TNA has tried to be since its inception. Which, to be honest, I think it's one of those things where you went about it the wrong way. You started a wrestling company to compete with WWE instead of starting a wrestling company because you like wrestling. And that's the thing. It's very hard to make money in professional wrestling. WWE doesn't do it just with the wrestling. Even then, it's not even, it's the merchandising, the licensing rights, the television deals. That's where a lot of WWE's money is made. That's the thing. Honestly, I don't think TNA has turned a profit for quite a while. I don't think since 2006, since they left the NWA. I don't think TNA has turned a profit. But yeah, I mean, you had where her parents cut off Panda Energy's money to TNA. You have where now Billy Corgan, he wanted to help out, but basically he was promised all sorts of things, and it's like I said, Dixie is just not great at running a business. She was this, rich girl that begged her daddy to buy this so that she could run it. And, well, we've all seen the results. I mean, I think any success the TNA has had has not been because of Dixie. It has been in spite of Dixie. Because people, I mean, you look at, we have all this wrestling out here now. We have, aside from WWE, we have TNA, we have Ring of Honor, we have Lucha Underground. New Japan is getting a cavalcade of American fans. You're going to, there's a lot of wrestling to watch out there, and I'm sure she's just making these deals just to keep the product on the air and to stay afloat. But like I said, I really believe that any success the TNA has had has been not because of Dixie, but in spite of her. And I think these companies I hope these companies are going in with the understanding that, yes, you're going to be working with a great wrestling with something with the potential to be a great wrestling company, but you're dealing with someone who doesn't know jack about wrestling. Again, thanks, Chris, for the question. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. I got this one from the Big Josh Hinkle at Big Josh TV 4K. His question: what are your thoughts about Vince Russo? Ooh. Great question. It's all these questions have been great. Well, Josh, my thoughts on Vince Russo are this. Every time I see Vince Russo, especially nowadays, I keep thinking of that old line Jim Ross kept saying when he was doing commentary for WWE. I'd like to buy him for what he's worth and sell him for what he thinks he's worth. Now, Vince, when Vince Russo was working for Vince McMahon, I'm sure he came up with a lot of great ideas. He was, pretty high up in the management. He was the head of creative and all that, and the head of writers, also with Ed Ferreira, who, and I'm sure these guys came up with a lot of the great ideas, some of the great ideas that made WWE so great to watch in the 80s and 90s, through the Attitude Era. The thing is, they had someone to control them. In that case was Vince McMahon. So not every harebrained idea that came out of his head ended up on television. So let's fast forward a little bit to where he decides to jump ship to WCW to get a big paycheck, saying, "Hey, I'm the one responsible. We're the guys who made WWE so great." And they're like, okay, and then he starts writing, and they say and as you see the results. Some of the stupidest stuff, and for God's sakes, I don't know what possessed Ed Ferreira to do that Oklahoma gimmick. I hope there's a special place in hell for people like that. To be on, and then WCW folds, He's off in the ether, and then comes in TNA, where Dixie's all, well, I'm going to give you complete creative control because, of course, she probably didn't admit that she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. But this is a guy who's had success in pro wrestling, and so she's all, do whatever you want, just make this show better so I look good. And then you have the point where wrestlers are doing crazy ass shit and getting hurt because there's no one to say, hey, this is a bad idea. And so, so you have nobody telling him no because Dixie's got his back. I mean, literally, there were fire Russo chants, and I saw this joke account that said every time there's a fire Russo chant, I fire someone else. Dixie was just so enamored with Russo that she would let him do whatever he wanted, and anyone that said anything bad was out the door. And so then, of course, and then basically she says he's gone. And then Spike finds out, no, he's not gone. He's still getting paid by TNA to be a wrestling consultant, and they lose the Spike deal. And so now I know Vince. I know Russo. He's kind of like he's the booker at I say Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. I think it's an NWA offshoot. And then he also has his own podcast, and where he's been spouting some interesting opinions about the current talent, like Kevin Owens, and some statements Sasha Banks made about bra and panties matches. So, with all that being said, Vince Russo, he is the guy that needs someone to be able to shoot down his ideas. He's a great idea man, but he needed a filter. And still does to this day. He's a guy that cannot be left unchecked. And we all have our opinions of the current product in WWE and that. I know Jim Cornette says constantly he does not watch Raw. He does not watch any WWE product because he has nothing to do with it anymore. But clearly, Russo does, and he hears his opinions and thinks, of course, that he can make it better, which kind of we all do. We all have that opinion. But to be honest, do I think Vince Russo is a horrible human being that should burn in hell? But, okay, let me just put it to you this way. I wouldn't trust him with my wrestling company. I wouldn't trust him to head up my creative department. I would let him be a part of it, but we would be with the understanding everything goes through someone else. And we're going to keep you in check. Because much like, I think Vince Russo is a lot like Hulk Hogan in that aspect. Vince, for the most part, kept a lot of these egos in check. And that's what you have to do as a promoter. Because you have these people who, each and every one of these people thinks they're the greatest things in sliced bread. And you have to keep their egos in check. Like, hey, you guys are nothing more than a cog in the wheel. You might be a bigger cog in the wheel, but you're nothing, a bigger cog in the machine, but you're not the only one. And I don't think Vince Russo got that outside of WWE. And that's what I think has led to his massive ego. Like I said, I don't hate the guy, but I don't hate the guy, but I would not let him run my wrestling company. Again, Josh, thank you very much for the question. Well, thank you guys This has been a lot of fun for me to do this. It's great. It's always great talking with fans of wrestling and hopefully fans of the show. You know, if you ever get the chance to watch this again, you know, and while you're here, subscribe, please. So, what do you guys think of this Q&A session? Do you think I should do another one? And if so, what questions do you have for me? Don't be afraid to drop any in the comment section below. As always, while you're here, please like this video, share with your friends, and of course, if you have not subscribed already, please feel free to do so. Now, of course, you don't always have to ask me questions. If you just want to chat with me, you can always talk to me via my social media. Okay, there it is. And it's always great to do something like this to interact with other wrestling fans. And if you guys want to do it again, I'm more than game. Well, until next time, and since this is probably going to be my last show of the year, until 2017, I'm the Guido, and I think we're done here.